A couple of years ago, I received this book from a friend of mine, and it's called Psychic Self-Defense by Dion Fortune. Dion Fortune was a very popular occultist that operated back in I think the 1920s or the 1930s, and powerful. There's a chapter 8 that really sparked my interest. Reason being, because when I started reading about it, I actually realized that I have come across some of the people that she describes. There's chapter 8. Chapter 8 is named The Pathology of Non-Human Contacts. The way she starts describing them is absolutely mind-blowing. There are many of us who have met people who might be well described as non-human, soulless in that the ordinary human motives are not operative with them, nor do the ordinary human feelings prompt or inhibit them. We cannot but love them, for they have great charm. They have great charm indeed. I have witnessed that myself. But we cannot but dread them as well, for they spread an infinitude of suffering around them. She could have not described it better. Although seldom deliberately evil, they are singularly detrimental to all with whom they come in contact. They, for their part, are unhappy and lonely in our midst. They feel themselves to be alien and unaccompanied. She also says they are not immoral, however, but simply non-moral. On the other hand, they possess the virtue of absolute sincerity and great courage. In terms of human ethics, they are undesirables, but they have an ethic of their own to which they are loyal, and that is the beauty which is truth. And this is all they know. This is where it gets super interesting. So, in terms of their physical appearance, in appearance, they are usually small and slight, possessing unusual physical strengths and endurance, but very liable to nervous exhaustion and brainstorms. In social relations, they take violent likes and dislikes. They show a facile and demonstrative affection towards those they like, but quickly forget them. Gratitude and pity are unknown to their nature. It's patently malicious, and in all relations of life, they are utterly irresponsible. That is so accurate. One cannot describe them better than to say that they resemble nothing so much as a blend of Persian kitten and pet monkey. They have the beauty and aloofness and charm of the cat, and the amusing mischievous destructiveness of the monkey. Many human beings hate them at sight. Others are fascinated by them because they bring with them a sense of unearthly beauty and a quickening of the life forces. Then she mentions, I have been able to investigate the history of two such beings, and it is interesting to note that both of them were conceived while their mothers were in the influence of drink. You have to be very careful when you're having intercourse and when you're about to conceive, that sometimes when you're having sex, there's a vortex that's created between you and the partner. And sometimes that vortex can unintentionally draw some other type of spirits or some souls that are not from our very human realm. And actually, the way the Dion Fortune explains that, so it's so good. It's interesting when you read something, and I've always had that in my head. Because I'm very observant. I observe people, I investigate people, I am fascinated by the spiritual sides of how we are born and how we die and so on and so on. So I was often thinking, is it possible that some different beings or some different souls, they enter the bodies of pregnant women, you know? Now she explains this very well. At the moment of sexual union, a psychic vortex is formed resembling a water spout, a funnel-shaped swirling that towers up into other dimension. As body after body engages, the vortex goes up the planes. In all cases, the physical, etheric, and astral bodies are involved. The vortex, therefore, always reaches as far as the astral plane. A soul upon the astral plane may be drawn into this vortex if it is ripe for incarnation, and thus enter the sphere of the parents. So this is how they come into the parents, but they don't actually come from our realm. I hope this makes sense. I find this super interesting. If the vortex extends higher than the astral plane, souls of a different type may enter this sphere, but such extension is rare. And therefore, it is said that man is born of desire, for few are born of anything else. They have a peculiar fascination for certain types of temperament. The types that psychologists call unstable, and this is where psychopathy, as I mentioned again, psychopathy and sociopathy comes into play. This is how psychologists, scientists, they refer to as mentally unstable. But on a spiritual side, they're called non-humans. Makes you think, doesn't it? Definitely met a few of these in my life. Now comes the relationship, the marriage side with a non-human. So she says, there is nothing more disastrous than marriage with a non-human. For they have nothing in their nature they can satisfy the normal human yearnings for affection and sympathy. The one saving feature is such a union that grounds for divorce. The power of non-humans to endure their enemies is comparatively small, for they are aliens in a strange land when incarnated in human form, and cannot avail themselves of any of the ordinary human resources of mischief. They are in fact singularly defenseless and helpless, and themselves suffer acutely at the hands of society. It is otherwise, however, in their relations with their friends. They seem to have an infinite capacity for inflicted hurt on those who love them. Not deliberately or maliciously, but like a child pulling flies to pieces out of idleness, not realizing what it is doing. Obeying the laws of their own nature, they are destructive to beings of the human evolution. Yet what other laws can they obey? For them to submit to our standards is to deny their deepest instincts. This is very powerful. This is super powerful. The effect that they have upon those who love them constitutes such a well-marked syndrome among the psychic pathologists that we must consider in its detail. The person who forms a rapport with a non-human becomes deeply steered by the elemental forces to find ingress to our sphere through the channel of the wandering of alien soul. He becomes, as it were, drawn away from normal human things and set wandering upon the confines of the fairy kingdom. Wow, I absolutely love this book. And yet he can find there is no rest for his foot and no sustenance for his soul. The story of the handsome fisher lad and the mermaid is indicative of this condition. She loves him, draws him to her, and he drowns, for he cannot live in the element of water. The explanation of the curious power both of fascination and destruction, which is exercised by non-human, may lie in the fact that they belong to one element only, whereas in a man of all four are combined. So we are combined of four elements, and the non-human functions only on one element. Any elemental contact is stimulating to us because elemental beings pour forth in abundance the vitality of their own particular sphere. And this vitalizes the corresponding element in ourselves. But if a 4-element creature is drawn into the sphere of a single element, he is poisoned by an overdose of one element, in which he finds himself and starved of the other. I could never really figure out what I'm dealing with. The very last person that I consider to be non-human, they almost had a non-human appearance, but the appearance was very weak, very small, very lifeless. You know, they seem to be, I wouldn't even say there's an ethereal part of them. There's just nothing there. They are human in its form, but their soul is completely from a different realm. Even this person's eyes were reminded me of a strange reptile. Even though, you know, there's different, I guess, reptile humanoids, but that wasn't it. It definitely, I think I would have felt that. But what I felt coming eye to eye with this person, I just felt, okay, this is not a human soul. Okay, I've never encountered this before, and I don't know where this soul originates from, though it would be interesting to find out, to have this big book where I can see, you know, okay, I'm dealing with a non-human. It is clear by my feeling that this is a non-human. But I want to see where it comes from. I wish we had an encyclopedia of human souls or non-human souls, so we can see exactly what we're dealing with. You know, because at the time I did not know. I just felt what I felt, but I did not necessarily know what I was dealing with. And that per se was scary. But as I said, I'm not easily fazed. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comments below if you have ever encountered a non-human. What was your experience with a non-human, and what do you think about this? Stay tuned for more, and thank you for watching.